This is the BenQ EW2770QZ monitor. It's got a long name and a long list of features, but are they relevant to you? For all intents and purposes in this video, I'll be referring to this monitor as the 272 because its full name is just ridiculously long. And as always, you can find its link in this video's description. So this is a 27-inch 1440p IPS monitor, and it's beautiful, sporting 2 HDMI ports, a display port, built-in speakers, a headphone jack, and an integrated AC converter, which means no ugly block hanging from your display's power cord. But the 272 is not intended for gamers. I want to make that very clear distinction up front. Its feature set is curved more toward content creators concerned with accurate color reproduction and a visually ergonomic experience. Most of the time, gaming monitors tend to focus on high-paced experiences, right? So they push for things like higher refresh rates and low input lag. And while the 272's panel is only 60 Hz native, its response time is actually respectable at 5 milliseconds gray to gray. And I tested it, that's about what it came out to. It's a little higher, like 8 milliseconds, but you won't tell the difference in most cases. I can also confirm that input lag is virtually unnoticeable via keyboard and controller, of course. But these are the kinds of things you want to look for in a gaming monitor, right? You don't want to have those weird drawbacks. The only thing that's crippling this one, though, and the reason why I'm saying it's not a good gaming monitor, is because it's only 60 Hz. And for about $400 US, depending on where you look, where you find this, and where you live, it's just not going to compete with the 144 Hz TN panels that you could get for the same price. It's still gameable, of course you could game on a cathode ray tube display, but for $400 this is right in the crosshairs of some 1080p and 1440p 144 Hz true gaming panels, many would argue. Granted, most of those utilize TN technology, it's just cheaper. Color reproduction on those isn't going to be as good as this. In this case, you get a beautiful IPS display with 100% sRGB color space coverage. This is where content creator ears perk up. Look, at this point on the channel, I script, edit, film, produce my own videos, so I have a good idea of what a video should look like when it's finally uploaded to YouTube for all of you to see. If I'm editing on a TN panel, which I've been doing actually for quite a while, I notice that some of my videos don't look the same on that panel as they do on other mobile devices. So like my laptop, this MacBook here, probably is going to show me a better color gamut than the TN panel will. In fact, it will for sure. It's actually been proven. So I might see small imperfections on the MacBook that I don't see on the TN panel because it's not showing me a wide range of colors. So maybe a green tint is exposed on the MacBook, but it's not exposed on the TN panel. White balance issues could also be at play here. A panel like this is not going to let you down because color reproduction is literally spot on. It just comes with the territory. If you're going to buy a TN panel, chances are you've already rationalized that your color reproduction is not going to be the best, but you're probably going to save some money by choosing the TN panel over its IPS counterpart just because it's an older technology. There are other things that you should consider, but if you're just going to be gaming, it's probably not going to matter as much whether you choose an IPS or a TN display. I can say though that if I'm going to be content creating on just the monitor that I purchase, this is the one that I want, definitely. IPS technology is by far the better content creation choice. The 60 Hz refresh rate doesn't hurt in this case either, and the additional technology on board makes things easy on the eyes. The first of these traits is what BenQ calls Brightness Intelligence Plus, which utilizes an onboard ambient light sensor to detect lighting changes in your room. So when you view the display and something in your environment darkens your surroundings, the technology will adjust the display itself accordingly, perhaps by slightly dimming the display and altering white balance to a warmer tone. Apple does a thing similar to this with their Retina-enabled devices. It works well under most circumstances and is oftentimes so subtle you won't immediately notice it, and that's a good thing. The best part is it's virtually hands-free. The monitor's going to adjust everything it needs to on its own, and it's not going to overcompensate and wash things out. It's not going to darken the display so much to where you're like, what the heck just happened? It's actually pretty intelligent, as its name describes, and you likely won't have to go through the on-screen display after you initially pull it out of the box. The contrast ratio is 1000 to 1. IPS isn't going to be the greatest when it comes to true blacks, but they do appear much deeper in person, almost AMOLED-like, which was nice to see, and not a single speck of backlight bleed, which I'd expect from a monitor of this caliber. Other things you'll get with this IPS technology are insane viewing angles, up to 178 degrees from center, and you won't notice a single color out of whack. TN, forget it, that's not going to happen. And a display brightness of 350 nits is plenty for even well-lit rooms. But this brings up an important issue with this panel, in fact most IPS panels in general. It's going to be super reflective. Now you can see the light behind me is already reflecting off of the screen. On a TN panel that would be rather subdued. This one also does not have a matte coating over it, so they're actually sacrificing the glare for the sake of having a truer color gamut, because if you put a matte screen over this, the colors aren't going to look as good. They're going to look slightly washed out. That's just what you get when you choose a content creation monitor like this one. So for this unit here, I think it's a wise choice, foregoing the matte finish, just keep the glare in mind. Now to touch on the speakers I mentioned earlier, yes, they are integrated and yeah, they sound okay. I was actually surprised they were even included to begin with, but I would give them something like a 5 out of 10 in terms of just audio quality. They get pretty loud, but that's when they start getting, you know, pretty messy and distorted. So I'm going to compare the quality of the monitor to the quality of my MacBook. My MacBook Pros have pretty good sound coming in, as the 2017 models do. So I'm going to play the exact same song coming from this and then this at about the same volume level, and you can, you know, judge for yourself. So the 272s are satisfactory, at least they're included. In fact, many gaming monitors don't even include speakers anymore because they expect gamers to use headsets or surround sound systems. This also includes a headphone jack, which I'll admit, many gaming monitors still don't include. So this has feature sets that you wouldn't expect it to have, considering it's not being targeted toward gamers, but it still doesn't make up for the fact that it's not a higher refresh rate panel. But an aspect of the 272 that I absolutely hate, I hate it so much, is the included stand. So it's super easy to assemble, completely toolless by the way, but you can't pivot the display left nor right without rotating the entire setup. Vertical pivoting is also extremely limited. A workaround here is VESA support, which this monitor definitely has, but it's a shame to see a $400 display placed on such a terrible stand. The last thing I'm grappling with right now is the price of this display. At around $400 US, it comes across as a bit pricey to some. Others might see it in a more affordable light. It's all relative really, but what isn't relative is the feature set. Sure, it's got some cool features, and the 1440p panel with true-to-life colors is sure to impress many. I also am a huge fan of this virtually bezel-less display that always makes things look more futuristic, more innovative. But I imagine many will contend with this price. Would I recommend the 272 for gamers? Absolutely not. It's an unfair question though. It wasn't really intended for gamers to begin with. Would I recommend it to content creators though? Well, it depends on how much $400 means to you. Could you do better? Probably. But with the excellent reputation of BenQ, probably not, at least for what this monitor was intended. As always, you can find this product linked in the video description. Check it out. It's tied to my affiliate account. Gives me a small kickback. I'd appreciate that. If the Amazon link is not there, it's just not sold on Amazon yet, so I'll put something else there for the time being. Also, I'm curious as to what monitor is your go-to monitor, which one's your daily driver. Comment with that description down below. Just curious, I just want to know what you think is good for the price. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, thumbs down for the opposite, click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next video on the channel, a Ryzen 5 PC build. Why is there always dust in this room? This is Science Studio, thanks for learning with us.